I don't know how he did it, but some kind of way he graciously made time for me. I'm sitting with Jon Gann, the creator of DC Shorts Film Festival. Jon, thank you so much for making the time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
All right, so let's just talk about why you love short film.
Oh, well, it's I think it's kind of like a perfect art form. I think that I love short stories. I don't really have time for full books, so which is why I like magazines.
Right.
But you know, I think we've all sat through 90-minute features that were 10-minute stories just dragged on way too long.
Right.
And so if you can tell that great story in 10 minutes, then you really know how to use the medium. And to me, that's what short films is all about: is people experimenting with the medium and trying to perfect their storytelling ability. Because ultimately, filmmaking is just visual storytelling.
Right, and you're a storyteller in your own right, right?
I used to direct films, yes. That's how I got started in this whole thing.
Okay, so let's talk about that. How did
Sure.
you get started in it all?
Oh my. Well, it goes back farther than that. Before I got into filmmaking, I had a marketing and design firm. And I got tired of it, and it was the beginning of the digital video revolution. And
Blair Witch-ish time?
yeah, it was right before Blair Witch. It was
Okay.
in late 90s. And I decided to go to Quickie Film School. I had gotten into the major film schools and decided I didn't want to spend 2 years. I didn't have that kind of time. I was in my 30s. So I decided I was going to go to this 6-month program, and if I got it, then great, and if I didn't get it, then I'd try something else. And I loved it. It was exactly what I wanted. So I made 2 films after that. They both played a lot of festivals. One played about 50 festivals. And as I traveled around the world with that film, I was really disheartened at what film festivals seemed to be about. They were great celebrations of film, but they were more about parties and sponsors and money than they were about films and filmmakers. And because I made short product, they were rarely about me and the types of films I was making. And so I felt like I was being slighted on the festival circuit, while at the same time, if I hadn't created product, they would have nothing to show. Mm-hmm. So when I came back to DC, I lucked out, and I live in a building that there's a theater underneath, a black box theater that wasn't being used. So I called a friend and I said, we're going to start a film festival. I don't know how to do it, but I've been to 65 of them. I guess I can figure it out.
Right.
And that was it.
Wow. So 10 years later, here we are.
Here we are.
What are some of your proudest moments in the 10 years since you created it?
I honestly, the greatest compliment I get 2 great compliments I love, but the biggest one that for me is when filmmakers call me after the festival and say, hey, I met someone at your festival, another filmmaker, and we just clicked and we're going to make a new project together. To me, that's like, wow.
Right.
To me, festivals are about connecting. They're connecting filmmakers to audiences, filmmakers to each other, and audiences to new product. And so that's, I'm glad that I'm able to provide or create an atmosphere where that happens.
Mm-hmm. You said 2 things, right?
Sure.
What's the other one?
Oh, that it's like the best organized event they've ever been to, because I'm an anal retentive, and that's a huge thing for me.
Nice. All right. So one of the things that I enjoy about DC Shorts is the resources that filmmakers such as myself can actually get while here at the festival. So can we talk a little bit about some of the panels and all that kind of stuff?
Sure. Well, of course we have Q&A after all the competition screenings the first weekend. But we also have this day of free workshops, because my feeling is the filmmakers are here, we have the theaters available to us, we might as well do something in the morning, and why not have a day full of classes? And we have so many great resources in Washington, and I have friends who work in the field, and we have half the filmmakers are great resources, so why do we have a way to connect everyone together? So they've built up over the years. This year, we had more than 250 registrations for it, which was incredible. Yesterday, the final panel of Ask Film Festival directors, and we had directors from across the country show up for that. There were close to 200 people in the room. That was amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I was one of them. Okay, so what's the future for the festival? What are some of the things that you would like to accomplish?
I don't know. The medium changes all the time too. I mean, the types of films people are making, and the fact that you can watch short film online now in ways you couldn't watch them 10 years ago,
Right.
which is one of the reasons we have an online festival now, is to just allow people to watch more films in the comfort of their home, because we know that they're used to that, and why not provide that platform? But there's something missing when you watch them at home that you don't get in a theater.
Right.
Watching a film is a communal experience, and comedies are funnier, and dramas are sadder, and when you see it with other people, because there's that feeling you get in a theater. So I'm not sure where we're going in the future. I mean, obviously we like to expand some more, but we're already the largest event on the East Coast, and with 153 films in 11 days, it's a big undertaking. Maybe it's about focusing it a little bit differently.
Okay. So can you tell us about your book, Behind the Screens?
Behind the Screens?
Yeah.
Sure. One of the resources I've developed over the past few years is not only great relationships with filmmakers, but great relationships with other festival directors. And I spend a lot of time getting other festival directors to talk to one another, either through private Facebook groups we have, or just meeting a few times a year. And in that process, I was fascinated as to, my feeling is like there's 3,000 festivals in America, and there's 2,999 ways to run them.
Right.
Everyone has a different way of running a festival, and so why not let filmmakers into a glimpse of what that's about? So the book is 16 interviews with festival directors, big and small. We have a former Sundance programmer and Silver Dogs in Seattle, and then we have small niche festivals and everything in between. But it gives you an idea of like what festival programmers are actually thinking when they're watching your film, what they're looking for, the big mistakes that filmmakers make. And honestly, the big mistakes are the easiest ones to fix, like read the rules, fill out the form properly. Just little thing. Make sure you get your stuff in by deadline. But you'd be surprised how many filmmakers don't follow these rules, and therefore they don't get in, and then they wonder why. And I'm like, well, all you had to do was answer 2 questions,
Yeah, right.
or send a disc that wasn't going to break apart in the envelope because you put it in a padded envelope as opposed to a paper envelope. Things that seem so obvious to some people and possibly not so obvious to others.
Right. Well, again, I mean, Jon, what I really appreciate about you is that all the resources that you do, sometimes just in life in general, people can kind of hog all the information, knowledge.
Well, what's the point of that? I mean, if I hogged on the information, then how could I expect people to make better films?
Right.
So, that's one of the reasons I created, so the time I started the festival 10 years ago, I also started this organization called the DC Film Alliance. And the idea was DC has a huge film community, but no one was talking to one another. And we have a bunch of organizations, and no one from those organizations was talking to one another. And so we created this alliance so that we'd be kind of like the bridge between everyone. But what I found for the past few years is that bridge has been built, and everyone kind of cooperates now. And maybe it's because there's the way we get information out now is completely different than it was, 8-9 years ago.
Right.
But we didn't need to be an alliance anymore. That everyone was already working together. So we changed the name of the organization just to DC Shorts, and then we changed our focus, as opposed to being resources for the whole community, to we champion short filmmaking, because that's what we do. We provide a major festival for short filmmaking. We provide educational classes that focus on short filmmaking. We provide resources on our website to help short filmmakers make short films. So that's why we kind of changed the whole name.
Okay. And so we're wrapping up here, but are there what's the most challenging film that came through this year, doc and narrative?
It's interesting. What I think is going to be a challenging film is often not the challenging film. So we had a great documentary this year called Not Anymore, Story of a Revolution, and it's about young people, teens, 20s, who are the revolutionaries in Syria right now. And in the first scene, this woman is talking, and behind her, someone is literally shot dead. Like, it's shot and falls to the floor.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, how is the audience going to react to that?
Right.
And when they watched the film, no one reacted to that part at all. They reacted to the end, which was very emotional, and I remembered being emotional, but not as emotional as I was when I was out in the theater. And I was like, oh, interesting. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so Jon, how can we get a copy of the book and the website for DC Shorts?
Well, the book is on Amazon. You can go behindthescreensbook.com and order it from there. And then DC Shorts, we're running through the 29th, so come to a theater near you. We're in downtown, Anacostia, Fairfax, Rockville, we're all over the place.
Yeah.
Or go to our website, you can buy an online pass, it's $40, and it gives you access through the 29th of September to watch. But we always have on our regular DC Shorts website, we have an area called online, or maybe it's called Archive, but there's like 250, 300 films on there of films we've shown in the past. We can watch for free anytime you want.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks again,
Thank
Jon.
you very much.
Appreciate you sitting down with
pleasure.
us.